Let's talk tourism.
Justin DeBoom is one of the most prolific travel agents in Costa Rican history. He's a local celebrity in the Jaco Beach area, an avid fisherman regularly found on the docks of Los Sueños Marina. He does great charity work by donating freshly caught fish through his cleverly named A Real Difference. I see what you did there. In addition to all this, he's a hell of a fun guy to get a beer with. Justin DeBoom, let's talk tourism.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. What an intro.
Overdue. First, you got to take me way back because I have almost forgotten. What brought you to Costa Rica, and what year was that?
Oh man, that'd have been 2003, and I was invited. I was in the landscape business, a landscape broker, and one of my clients brought me down here. I was back in the good old days when Martin Air flew nonstop from Orlando, $90 round trip. So after the first trip, I was here every other weekend.
Wow, 2003.
Yep.
Man, that goes
20 years this year.
That's way back. My, oh my. So since those early aughts trips to now, what's changed the most?
It's got expensive. I mean, the roads are better, which is kind of an oxymoron when you talk about Costa Rican roads,
Right.
but they have concrete on most of them now. So yeah, I mean, tourism's busy. It was busy then, but yeah, the people are still good. You know, it definitely is more crowded. There's more other Latin American immigrants here, but you know, if there's one thing that can be said is I still feel like the Tico culture is still strong and alive as far as, you know, that Puerto Vida spirit.
Yeah.
But just a lot more people coming to enjoy this country.
There's more of everything, right? There's more luxury homes, more high-end hotels, certainly more big boats, something you know about.
Oh yeah.
What has not changed at all? And I mean, what has remained the same, and what do you hope never changes?
The ability to move things through the bureaucratic system of Costa Rican government has not changed. If anything, slower. Um, I mean, I think I would hate to see the Ticos themselves lose that spirit. There are times where you feel like they get a bit Americanized, and you know, the cost of living is going up, so it's forcing them to kind of get away from the like, hey, here's a mango, I'll take the shirt off my back and help you, to like, I need to pay my bills. So yeah, you see a bit more of the hustle, um, which we're all used to from the States, but in the past, you know, like, all right, well, I'm just gonna hang up a hammock and, you know, tal vez que sí, Dios quiere, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, that's going away a bit.
And what do you wish would change? You know, if you could change something.
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say because things are so one-sided. I mean, is it to change something that betters the people or change something that betters my life as an expat? But I mean, I do think some of it is, if the locals had the ability to start businesses and do things better without all the bureaucratic red tape that's involved with the government, that might help the population in this boom. It also could help tourism because you get these micro businesses and things that offer unique experiences. Um, you know, on that side, as far as myself goes, I mean, I do the cost of living, the colony versus dollar exchange right now, and it fluctuates so much that, yeah, that's from the selfish side, but I can't even imagine a local who works in the tourism industry that pays his bills in colonies right now is getting brutalized. But vice versa, you know, whenever the colony's weak and the dollar's strong, those who make colonies get, you know, that currency. When you have a dual currency type economy, it's new to me. Even though I've been here a long time, it's definitely interesting when you look at it now when things have fluctuated so much.
Yeah, I mean, you take it for granted when it's working in your favor, right?
Yeah, right now you're, you know, this 2023, it's, you know, 17% difference. Pretty amazing.
So regarding the bureaucracy, the red tape, what have you come into contact with that's been the most frustrating? What is it that you've bumped into? You're like, I can't believe it takes this long to do X. I mean, when I first got here, it took maybe 2 years to get a cell phone, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, where do you start? I mean, the banking, just the act of giving them your money is like, come on. And then it's even worse to get your money back out. Like, well, what do you mean? I got to tell you why I want $100. Like, I already had to tell you where I got the $100 from. Yeah, I just had a fun scare not too long ago and trying to buy a piece of property. And they're like, well, we need to see some papers on where, yeah, I'm like, no, give me my money.
Yeah, yeah.
The banking thing is crazy. Anything with permits or permitting or, it's still old school with like the timbres, the little stamps that have
Oh,
to
yeah.
go on the papers. And it's like, oh, Gertrude's the only one that's got that stamp and she's at lunch. Um, that stuff is pretty aggravating. The other is just if you look at it from an employer standpoint, the employee benefits or the social system is pretty rough on an entrepreneur or any business. I mean, Costa Rica is all about the employee. I don't know what you would describe that as, but the employer is the bad guy.
Some of it's very
And it's tough.
nice. Yeah, some of it's nice. And the longer you live here, the more you kind of appreciate light socialism. But the downside is you see that it gets people stuck in jobs they don't want to be in.
Yeah, they can't afford to leave. But then also employers can't afford to keep them.
Right.
It's like this really weird double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's not a Mexican standoff; it's a Costa Rican standoff. It's
Yeah.
weird.
And it's also hard to pay employees what you feel they're worth because it becomes too expensive to possibly do it. And then if they move on, it's too expensive to let them go. It is definitely a double-edged sword.
Tricky. It'd be nice if there was really some quick formula for arbitration when you kind of both understand that neither of you wants to be with the other anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of it being all or nothing. Like when first timers you're someone that's planned a bajillion vacations for your lifetime. Um, and you've owned boats, owned fishing, chartering business. You've been involved in a lot of different stuff down here. What's the biggest misconception of first timers? Like you just had family visit. When someone comes down to visit for the first time or is inquiring for the first time, where does maybe the imagined version of Costa Rica not quite sync up with the reality?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a high level of poverty, for people that haven't traveled outside the US. But then again, the US has got towns that make the shanties of Costa Rica look spectacular. But I think people are a bit surprised by that and also how the poverty butts right up to the ultra wealthy. Tamarindo used to be one of the best examples. I mean, you would have this beautiful high rise and then like literally a shanty right next to it, squatter. So I think that from a cultural perspective or people not knowing what to expect, that's one thing. I do believe that the cost surprises people a bit. Whether it's good or bad, it's just, Costa Rica has gotten more expensive because demand and just the overall social burden and cost of everything here. I still think the niceness of people reigns strong, which is kind of cool. I take it for granted at times, but whenever I have family in town or I go and meet a client, I see the excitement they had because the Costa Ricans are so nice. I remember that's the first thing I thought when I came. It's like, this people are my family. Like I literally stayed in their homes and it was nothing abnormal. And so that's still here. And then the other things that you take for granted is just like the pure raw beauty. Yeah, you drive around and whether you're on the Costanera or you're coming down the 27, like it's still pretty spectacular when you see the canyons and the jungle and the rainforest and you can be someplace and have the macaws fly over and it's just, I don't know, you take it for granted when you're here, but for a first timer, that stuff is pretty impressive.
The monkeys and the birds, everything else. We just kind of forget about dolphins, whales.
Yeah, I took my family out on the boat and my niece's boyfriend, like he thought the dolphin was the coolest thing he'd ever seen. I'm like, it's a dolphin, man. They're like everywhere. Well, he's from Iowa. It's like the third time he's seen the ocean. I forgot about that.
You have fished all over the place. Is there anywhere in Central America you haven't fished yet? Honduras?
No, I've done Roatan. I mean, the Atlantic. So I know pretty much any place that's known for fishing, I have fished in.
What is it that makes Costa Rica so special?
Flat, calm seas, easy to get to. I mean, I did the Bahamas this year. I did Guatemala this year. I've done Mexico a couple of times. I did Panama, Tropic Star. I've done Nicaragua. I mean, if you look specifically the Central Pacific, it's just flat calm. The weather's always nice. You're not putting on a rain suit to protect yourself from cold water. And the fishing's good. You don't have to run 100 miles to get to the fishing grounds. And it really comes down to the sea conditions. Because even if the fishing's slow, it's like it's nice out. You're not getting beat up and poor fishing.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, good spots are still relatively close to the coast, right?
Yep. You really never have to go more than 30, 35 miles. I mean, the tournaments have a boundary of 50 miles.
Did you ever fish? There's a spot off of Panama that's famous because the deep water is almost
Pedicey.
shore. No, but around the corner, it's called Bahia Honda.
Oh, okay. No, I have not.
Yeah, because the deep water like almost touches the coast.
Well, it's like Nicoya, right up there by Carrillo. I mean, literally the blue dots, as they call it. It's within the 50-mile boundary of Los Sueños, and it's very bizarre. It's so close. And it's one of the best fisheries there are. It's literally 4 miles off the coast of Carrillo.
So cool. Do
Yeah.
you still have any hidden, now that you're out there on your boat a ton, are there still any hidden spots or places you like to go that are a little bit not quite so crazy?
I mean, Drake's always cool. That whole area from Drake Bay all the way down to like the Matapala Rock, that's the Osa Peninsula is still remote. Drake has grown up a lot. You're seeing a lot of homes go in there, but when you pull in there at night, there's not the tremendous amount of lights, and that's a neat place. The northern Pacific, when you start working your way up past Santa Teresa and you get in that Marbella area, that's still kind of a lost area. There's no real places to anchor, but it's kind of neat because there's still a lot of coastline of Costa Rica that's completely undeveloped.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you ever gone through the canal and fished the Caribbean side of Costa Rica?
I've taken a boat through the Panama Canal. The Caribbean is mainly all about tarpon. Nobody really goes offshore there. It's a corridor for bad things on that Caribbean coast. But the tarpon fishing, Tortuguero is still arguably my most favorite destination in Costa Rica. Not just for the fishing, but I don't know, the fact that there's no cars there. You get around by boat. There's no towers. I don't know if it'll ever be built up, but it's a pretty unique place where if you want to go to a restaurant, you get on a boat.
As far as the places that we know of as destinations in the country, that's still probably one that is the land time forgot.
Yeah.
Right? It may never change.
Yeah.
Are there any destinations outside of Costa Rica that you could legitimately see giving Costa Rica a run for the money, near competitors?
I mean, Nicaragua's unique. If the government, before the whole social system collapsed there, Nicaragua is gaining some traction. They have spectacular beaches. They have the mountains. They have the volcanoes. They have the rainforest. They have the ruins. We don't have, it's a political environment that's not good yet. I visited Colombia. I love Colombia, but it's for the maritime, not so much. It's a giant country with a lot of stuff. A little bit jaded, obviously, for the past reputation, but the cost of living, everything was amazing. I only went to one place, but that country is massive, so I can only imagine what's there. Panama is unique, but the Panamanian people, you're spoiled when you're in Costa Rica because they need tourism here. Panama doesn't. So you get this weird
attitude.
Attitude, exactly. Entitled attitude. We have the canal.
Yeah, I married one, so it's about that one. What are the emerging tourism trends that you're seeing in Costa Rica?
I think people are starting to, they're going to more of these remote destinations or more of the off the beaten path that are not your mainstream Arenal, Manuel Antonio, Tamarindo type places. And part of it is because the development of nicer boutique hotels showing up. We've had a good influx. So that's kind of cool. I also see a lot more people coming back. How long have I been with you guys now? 12, 13 years, doing this and vacations, and there's multiple destinations, so people will come back and experience different things and stay longer in certain places. So try new things, really, I think is what it is.
And what do you see any new destinations in Costa Rica emerging? Like if you had to bet on what the next one, you know, Jaco was one of the first, close to San Jose, tough to beat. As soon as the roads got paved to Tamarindo, you didn't have to take the ferry anymore, and the bridge was built. Tamarindo exploded. Arenal is enormous. What other destinations? What are the second and third tier ones that you might wager on long term?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch, but it all comes down to logistics. I mean, if a visitor has to spend more than 3.5 hours in a car, all of a sudden it's not fun. Now we do have the domestic airport or the domestic airlines, but the same thing, getting to and from when that gets better. I mean, that Uvita, Dominical, um, that area is getting really popular for people building homes, but I haven't seen any big hotels show up yet.
Yeah,
I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg there, but it is pretty. You get the whole Nicoya Peninsula. Santa Teresa has become very popular and what have you, but still, it's logistically, it's a pain to get to. That Marbella area is quite nice, but again, the roads aren't very well done. There's not an easy airport, so I think things are kind of tied to the logistics. If you can
and
get them to it easy,
and up
it
there
makes it easy.
and in those corners of Guanacaste you're referencing, water.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably why they haven't developed much.
Yeah, it's dry. It's dry up there. You know, a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this with your own travel clients over time. And I obviously you have one of our most famous customers ever, who
He's
just,
here now.
right, who just completed a mega mansion. More and more people, you know, on their fifth, seventh, 10th trip, decide to invest or stay forever or build a house. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions there? You know, when you've heard people talking about, oh, I'll just come down there and build a house or buy a house.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so again, like everything, prices have gone up, but also, building, I just went through that. Uh, I mean, the world of change order and budget, that word doesn't exist. You just keep throwing at it until it's done. But it's what they think they can get for the value versus where they want it to be at. Like, can you get great deals there? Yes. Can you get a great deal direct oceanfront with an ocean view? And it's getting tougher now because construction costs, laws, and also just demand. But yeah, it's not that whole process. You better have a good architect. You better have a good builder that knows how to navigate that because you can get caught up in some red tape real fast.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you're on site, right? Or you're visiting site, but like trying to do
Yeah.
it remote.
Yeah, that would be scary where you just trust your builder. We went through this one. Unfortunately, I was here for our client.
Yeah. You have a Costa Rican wife and you're raising a young kid here. Do you think you'll ever go back to the US?
Good question. There are times when I wonder if I am not giving my son an opportunity by not being in the States, because with all the flaws and everything, it's still the greatest country on the planet. I mean, if you want to go to the US and you got $1,000 in your pocket and you want to try and make a business, you can do it there still. Hard work pays off. So I don't know. He's 3 years old. We start the school next year. We'll see. Me personally, I have no desire. This is home. But life has changed where I have to think about, and we'll see as he grows, what his likes and wants are and personality. But personally, I'd prefer not to. This is home.
Mm. And
But
you,
no, only
how
time will
long,
tell.
how long have you lived around Jaco now?
So I lived here for 2 years, then moved back to San Jose. So this last run, I have been here. Shoot, what is it? 8 years now.
And I bet even in those 8 years, you've seen Jaco change quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jaco is really blown up. I mean, there's a lot of construction, a lot of development going on. I mean, Los Sueños, there's 3 condos for sale in that place right now. Like, how is that possible? So development has done very well. What's unique about Jaco on the real estate front is you have the blend. You have the local market that wants a quick 1.5 hour escape from San Jose. And then you have an international market because it offers everything everybody wants too. So it's nice. I mean, I enjoy this area for sure. I don't see myself living in another beach town of Costa Rica. I like the convenience, the accessibility, and I can get anywhere I want pretty easily.
Now, do you ever pop down to Manuel Antonio Capos or go visit other nearby beaches?
Every once in a while, it's kind of strange. I mean, how often do I go to the beach here in Jaco? I live at the beach, and I never really go to the beach.
Mhm.
Um, but whenever we do inspections and things, I do. But I find our trips are more inland, up to the mountains, get a bit cooler air, things like that, versus other beach destinations.
When you want to get out of Dodge and go see something else in Costa Rica, where do you like to go?
Savagri, pretty cool because that's really cool weather. And that Venezuela area is kind of neat as well. Just something different, kind of old school Costa Rica. I really like Villa Blanca, for a quick getaway. It's cool at night, the fireplace, stuff like that. It's easy to get to. Air and all, but it's getting quite busy. You definitely you get moved around a lot, feeling like a tourist. The hot springs get a little crowded, so there's go to the places that people don't really know about or that aren't as popular yet.
Have you ever driven that mountain pass from Esterios up to Paris?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And what's that like?
I mean, it's the old school bumpy, bouncy road. I mean, where I just bought that property at, it's the back road from Portiscal to Jaco.
Okay.
And so that's right there where McCall Lodge is and Galan. So it's kind of that old school. It's dirt pretty much 85% of the way. But when you get there, you see five lights on at night. It's unique.
You know what I wonder sometimes? Because I think you and I are both obsessed with this idea of returning to the earth, being farmers again. Um, I'm curious to know if the old road to the beach, meaning the Aguacate, ever starts to have a comeback. And also, like you're saying, the back road from Puriscal down to Orotina. And then I know nothing of that road from Perez down to Esterios. Like we all were so thrilled to no longer have to drive those roads to the beach, so we all ripped down the highway. But something was kind of lost,
Oh, yeah.
in just now ripping down the highway as opposed to those cool little funky roadside stops and cafetales, little
Yeah,
coffee
the tour
shops.
bars, the throw a cooler in the back of the truck, and like it may take you 8 hours, and when you get there, you probably shouldn't still be driving, but that was part of the adventure. Yeah, that's what I like to do now. It's just jump in the general and a cooler and drink beer and just go wherever. Good thing there's no other cars on the road, so that's good.
What are what are the your favorite hotels in Costa Rica? Are there still places that when you get a chance to go see someplace or get a freebie somewhere, you're like, sign me up? Like,
Yeah, I mean the Yada, like how do you not go there? Like when that's the one where it's dogs fighting over a bone when that thing comes available. Even though it's definitely all tourism, it's just they get it so right.
yeah. You're talking about Arenal Nayar, right? And
Yeah, Arnold, they gotta.
anything particular there, the tents or the traditional bungalows or what is
I
it?
mean, I've done them all. I think it's just the experience overall. I mean, the tents are, I don't even know how you explain that. That's over the top. But the old school, yeah, the Springs Villas I really like just because of the little hot tub and they're very, you feel like you're in the jungle there. But there, it's just the experience itself at Nayada is unique.
Place is pretty amazing. And even though you're not much of a beach person, are there any beach places that you enjoy going, or at least you're
The
like,
one I haven't stayed at yet, but I deeply want to is Casa Chameleon.
yeah, it's nice up.
Yeah, I haven't been there. I've had a lot of clients stay there. Great couples place. I just think that view and everything from there is pretty spectacular.
Oh yeah,
Um, I mean, we've enjoyed Las Catalinas, which is completely different than what you expect. But
Los Sueños North, just no
yeah,
brainer.
I mean, it's crazy. Los Sueños is 10 minutes from my house. I'd be perfectly happy going to stay there for a weekend. I mean, no, it's 5 minutes from my house. You go
Yeah,
there
why
and it's
not?
still a vacation.
It's an oasis. That place is
Yeah.
incredible. Do you think that marina in the Drake Bay and the marina development around there will do okay?
I don't know. The one on the inside, the Crocodile Bay Botanica property.
No, I mean, well, I'm not referring to that one. I'm referring to Checo's project. The
Oh, the
Golfito.
Golfito.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually hearing a lot of rumors that along with Los Sueños is going to be purchased.
Ah,
Yeah, the Los Sueños one, I mean, the chatter is so strong it's almost undeniable, but nobody can confirm anything. Um, but Yeah, the interesting thing with Golfito is like Golfito is one of those areas that still reigns old Costa Rica, but it's because of the logistics. I mean, you build a marina there, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, there's always mega yachts in there. How does a mega yacht owner get there? There's no airport they can land their jet on, and they don't want to sit in a car for 6 hours.
Right.
So it's either get out of your Gulf Stream and then jump in Sansa or a helicopter. It's just if they had a small international strip down there that could cater to private jets, just like the Nicoya Peninsula, that would fundamentally change things.
But somebody posted a picture the other day of the Liberia airport, and I don't think I've ever seen so many private jets there. Nuts.
Yeah.
But those people
Yeah,
don't
that's the benefit up there is you within 45 minutes of that airport, you can pretty much get to anything in that northern Guanacaste area. Santa Teresa, that new Cobano airstrip is technically long enough for a light 3 jet, but and they have the office there that looks like it's going to be in it, but no talk has been made of it. But that airstrip is long enough to land a Citation 3 or something like that, or a Phantom. So we'll see.
So you grew up in Florida. So, and geez, I mean, even from like the 70s to today, it's incredible how different Florida is, right? I mean, you could probably even argue for the panhandle side from 10 years ago today is incredibly different. So I think between like Florida and Hawaii, parts of Mexico, you kind of get a crystal ball into the future of what happens in touristic driven development in warm weather. What do you think? And when we're talking about airstrips, marinas, golf courses, what does Costa Rica still not have? What's the next stage in tourism for us where it's obvious in Florida where you've got a marina every 10 feet or in multiple airports? It's obvious in Hawaii where maybe you've got a highway over the ocean. What is it that that maybe we're not thinking big enough here?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you like compare to Cabo, like Cabo is pretty well developed. They've got everything right there. So we don't have spectacular shopping. Yeah, there's no real shopping of any kind here. So it's kind of odd that people want to go on vacation and shop, but it is true. That when you have a developed tourism market, there's always great shopping.
Yep.
The big box stores, it sounds crazy, but I mean the Sam's Clubs and all that we do have them, but they're all in the Central Valley. There's nothing out along the coast. So I think things like that. And what happens too is I had a conversation yesterday with Gary from Stay in Costa Rica. We were talking about all these towers going up. And he brought up a point that I didn't even think about is like, as things grow, you have to be able to have places to house the people that work there. And so you get this expanding effect. And as you have those bigger businesses and those shopping and that level of income goes up, you see the real estate do it as well. It starts spreading out and you get these micro or these pockets of like residences all over. I think that's part of what we're seeing here in Jaco is the tourism is going, but there's still no big construction. There's no big employment construction going on yet. Like why people would call this home because they have a job at Crocs or at Los Sueños. It's been a while.
I mean, this is outside of my swim lane, but I think that at some point we're probably going to need incentives to make sure the big developers are building a reasonably affordable housing.
Yeah.
Because we don't have it. And in these tourism destinations or even the towns on the way to those, there's almost no incentive to build affordable stuff because it's so hard to get anything done. So
land cost is out of control.
Right. So you might as well just make it expensive and luxurious. But then we run into like a San Francisco Bay problem where if you're a firefighter, you're commuting 2 hours to work. And we're starting to see some of that here. That's relatively new in my experience. I'd say last maybe 3 years.
Well, and then you get the Airbnb and the VRBO thing that disrupts everything altogether. So you buy 150, even locals, when they can start renting out their local beach home, making $3,000 to $5,000 a month, why would they ever do a long-term rent for $600-800 a month? It just makes no sense. So that's a big disruptor as well. And Jaco is going to be very interesting because there's so many of those middle tier condos being built that are Airbnb machines. They're hotel rooms that have kitchens.
Total inside baseball. I don't know how many people that watch this would possibly understand what we're about to talk about, but do you think there's ever going to be a chance that the math makes sense that somebody will do something with those rotting towers, at the entrance dock?
I don't think it can be done.
There is no math.
Yeah, the problem is like how do you they've been deteriorating for so long. Granted, there's not much of a code here, so could you pay off the right people to be able to go there and put some paint over some rust? Maybe. But anybody who's been here is not. I mean, that's our Eiffel Tower. That's our leaning tower of Jaco.
Maybe we could get a grant to like test some explosives on it.
So the one business model that works, and you know Wade comes up with this, is to buy it and sell the rights to a Hollywood movie firm and use it as a demolition thing. Because just the cost to demo that thing is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I don't know. I mean, it's the classic Akko eyesore. And we still have another one too, though, down there on the other street from Pops, the Four Towers that sits there, but it's not as, it's kind of camouflaged with the brown color.
They should pay the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, they should just paint this white one green. You wouldn't even see it.
It's amazing. I wondered if maybe the fire department could use it every year as a towering for inferno training.
I mean, they could sell tickets for $10 a piece and do demolition. I bet you tens of thousands of people would come. Maybe you can pay for the demo work for that. But that thing's massive.
Well, Boomer, to wrap things up, I like to ask everybody, what's your definition of Pura Vida?
Yeah, there's times where I question if I still have it. But my definition would be is just, enjoying what's around you versus what you have. That's something that I think Pura Vida means, because the Costa Ricans, they don't care about what they have. They don't care. Yeah, like monetary. They care about what they have, like their surroundings and everything, the water, the fruit, the fish, the vegetables, everything. This a simple way of life, maybe Pura Vida,
And
life in general versus material.
And what do you, good answer. And what do you think, keeps you here? I mean, what is it you enjoy so much about living here?
I mean, it is a simpler way of life, even though we naturally try to complicate it with wanting more stuff. But for me, I don't have much of a family back stateside. So my wife's family's here. My kid was born here. And, this is the longest I've ever stayed in one single area. So this is kind of home. But also I've learned to make a life out of it. Yeah. Great job, great family, great location. So what's really different?
Well, always a pleasure talking to you, Justin. Let's do it again
Yes, sir.
soon.
Absolutely.
Let's talk tourism.